Let's bring in Gershon Baskin, Middle East Director for the International Communities Organization. Gershon, you're also in Israel. I'm curious, how are Israelis reacting to the images and all the reporting of starvation coming out of Gaza? And is it impacting their feelings about the prime minister?
Most Israelis don't believe that there's hunger in Gaza. They don't believe that the Hamas line that people are starving is true. They believe it's propaganda. So they don't accept it. There are more Israelis, though, and this is important to note, who understand that there is real famine in Gaza, that there is starvation, and it's not only the blame of Hamas, it is the blame of Israel that controls the flow of aid into Gaza. People are also aware that this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is set up by the United States and Israel, has 4 delivery points in Gaza for 2.2 million people. Previously, there were 400 delivery points by the international organizations, the United Nations, the World Central Kitchen, and other organizations like UNRWA that were providing humanitarian aid. Those need to be put back into work. They are willing to work. They are willing to do the job. They need the green light from Israel because the aid is flowing in. It can come in, but it needs to be distributed properly as well.
Wow, only 4 delivery points. That really helps us understand why the aid is not getting to everybody who really desperately needs it. You mentioned Israelis don't believe there's hunger. That's been the line, or don't believe there's starvation. That's been the line from the prime minister, certainly. But the international community believes it. First, you heard France, then the UK, then Canada now saying they're going to recognize a Palestinian state because they are recognizing this crisis. They're outraged over it. Do you see this as a start of a sea change in the international community?
It certainly is, and it will be a much bigger sea change once Gaza is opened up to international journalists. For 22 months of this war, Israel has blocked the international community from seeing the reality on the ground. Certainly, Israel doesn't want international journalists going in and taking pictures of all the massive destruction that Israel has done. There are 2 million people homeless in Gaza today who are living in tents, who have no place to go, who are moved around like pawns on a chessboard by the Israeli army each time the Israeli army decides to attack a different location. This war has gone way beyond anything that should be acceptable by anyone in Israel and in the international community. It has to come to an end, and I hope that that is the message from Steve Witkoff to Netanyahu. Trump has said over and over again that this war needs to end. It is only Trump who can influence Netanyahu to do it. Netanyahu doesn't want to end the war because his political survival is based on keeping it going. But we should no longer, anyone should accept that this war should be allowed to continue. So
expand on that, because you've worked on the negotiating side of this conflict, including as a back channel to Hamas leaders. What's your assessment of why Israel and Hamas are still failing to reach a ceasefire agreement? Why do talks keep collapsing?
Well, mainly because the United States and Israel have put forth a plan for a temporary ceasefire for 60 days, during which time half of the 50 Israeli hostages would be released. 20 of those are believed to still be alive. And Hamas has previous experience where they had a ceasefire that was done in February and March. It was supposed to lead to a permanent ceasefire, and it didn't. The talks in that initial ceasefire are supposed to begin on day 15 for a permanent ceasefire and be concluded by day 50, and they never even took place. So Hamas is saying they want guarantees from the United States that this will lead to the end of the war. Hamas's preference is to have a deal that will end the war and lead to an Israeli withdrawal and a complete release of hostages and Palestinian prisoners. But the missing link here is that the Palestinian Authority government, which is responsible for determining the governance of Gaza the day after, haven't done that. We're missing the link here, so that when Netanyahu says, if we end the war, Hamas will rebuild itself and take over, there's no answer for that, even though Hamas has said it's willing to not govern Gaza anymore. There is no replacement yet for Hamas being decided by the Palestinian government, certainly accepted by the Arab countries and by Israel. But the first
Hamas has said that they will not govern Gaza anymore? Hamas has actually gone that far?
Hamas has said this, and they have said this over and over again. I have it in writing from them twice, in English and in Arabic. The last time I received it was 3 weeks ago, where they said they're willing not to govern, to give governance over to a professional, technocratic Palestinian body that will have all authorities in Gaza. But this is not being taken action on. It's primarily the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, who needs to determine who can govern Gaza. There is at least one Palestinian of relevance, a viable, credible person who has stood up and said he's willing to do it, but he's in the opposition to Mahmoud Abbas within his own Fatah party, and that's Dr. Nasser al-Qibwa.
Wow. Gershon Baskin, thank you so much for joining us and providing those insights.